Welcome to Horsepower Happenings with Zach Heiser.
Well, that's where the sport's going, and if you want to be a part of it, you better keep up.
Logan Beckwith.
The veterans could talk to the younger guys and tell them they really need to look at this.
And Kevin Reeve.
Stage racing is done, sorry. Stage racing just means, we're fast one stage.
Attention drivers, to the staging lane.
All right, welcome to week 2 of Horsepower Happenings. Zach Heiser along with Logan Beckwith, Kevin Reeve, and we're joined in the studio this week by Allie Bevard and Corey Bevard. Guys, thanks so much for joining us for week 2 of Horsepower Happenings.
Glad to be here.
Exciting news right out of the bat. First thing that we want to do is we want to welcome our new sponsor. Very happy to have Matt Carlisle and Cornfed Construction come on board, and they're going to help us foresee what we want to do here in bringing a positive voice to Michigan, and just excited to have them on board for that, and a lot to come with them. So.
Very cool. Well, thanks, Cornfed.
Big show coming up today. We are going to talk about a lot of stuff. We're going to talk with Allie and Corey about the history of Bevard Motorsports and how that history is changing. We're also going to dive into youth in auto racing and how that has changed over the years, and how the youth movement is really kind of strong. We've seen it in NASCAR over the past couple of years, and we're seeing it now at the local level. And so let's actually bring in Allie and Corey on this. You guys are seeing a youth movement in your team right now. Before we get into the history of it, we'll talk about the fact that you have one brand new driver coming up in 2018 as far as the big tracks go, and then Mason has had a good year in 2017 and is looking forward to 2018. Talk about that youth kind of coming in, Allie.
Well, it's exciting for us. It's actually made this a lot of fun for Corey and I. We've had the privilege to help Sean Patrick, my son, get involved in this. He kind of he runs under his own banner, funds it himself, and Corey and I are lucky enough to be a part of that and help him any way we can. So that's been great. He's a lot of fun. Mason. Mason just he come through some go-karting racing, and he was always kind of in the background, and when Corey and I were there, and just all of a sudden one day, the light switch turned on, and he's wanting to do this, so we went go-kart racing with him for a couple years, and then we moved him up to a big car last year. He had a very successful year, I think, and then Maddie, this is going to be fun, right? I mean, the kid is smooth can be in go-karts.
She, we had the chance to watch her at the kart track in Osseo, and it was one of my favorite memories of Maddie was making the move on Mason, or vice versa. I don't remember how it worked, but those two are really good racers, and actually, her first trip to Butler in a front-wheel drive, she got a win.
Yep, she did. And the kid's just so smooth, and she's fun to watch, and it's going to be fun. I think we're starting to where she needs to start right now, and there's big things for her because of how smooth she is and where she's coming from.
And Maddie is Corey's daughter, and so that's exciting for Corey because you get to watch your daughter work her way up through the ranks.
Yeah, exactly. I've been waiting for this my whole life to be able to watch my kid do what I love to do. So I think it's going to be great for the whole team.
Let's talk about the history of Bevard Motorsports, Allie, and where it got started and how it's kind of evolved over the years. I mean, from you to Corey and now to the young kids that we just talked about.
Corey and I did a little bit of go-kart racing. He did some of the driving when we were go-kart racing, and we did that for a little bit. I mean, we didn't get really carried away in it. I had the opportunity to wheel a car for LJ and Shirley Bumpus when I was in high school. Raced against Logan, your dad, street stock at Detroit Iron Days, right?
Yes, yep.
Did a ton of racing around Oakshade, Bryan area. And I met up with Mark Steeman. I got done street stock racing, kind of wanted to do something different. And I met up with Mark Steeman, and I spent 6 or 7 years full-time with him. And that's how I learned the sprint car ropes. And Corey had, was kind of building his first street stock in mom and dad's backyard deal. And he run it a summer, run pretty decent. And then got an opportunity from Mike Blakely to go sprint car racing.
Oh, boy.
I traded my. I was actually racing dirt bikes after my street stock,
Oh, yeah.
and I traded my dirt bike for my first sprint car, and took that thing out to Mike Blakely's and was all excited and everything. He says, "We got to find something different."
Somebody's gonna get hurt. That's funny.
So Mike stepped in and he's like, "We're gonna go sprint car racing," and I'm sitting there one day and I'm like, I had to make a tough decision. I had spent a long time with Mark, and I was like, I can't let him go by himself. So, I told Mark I'd be leaving, and I went with Corey and Mike, and Mike funded that deal and had us some great cars for a couple of years. And one day I just said, Corey, it's time. I bought the team. Corey and I bought the team, and we did our own thing. And that was early 2000s. Corey won Rookie of the Year with Gloss. Butler run top 5 in the first year in the sprint car in the points at Butler. And, it kind of went from there. It's funny. Corey and I we joke about this all the time, and it's true. We were sitting at the races at my house one day, and I literally had enough money in my pocket to make a house payment.
Oh, no.
Or to go race, and then the house payment wasn't current.
Oh, no.
And
wait, let me guess. You didn't make the house payment.
Well, we sat down and I said, if we go, we got to be able to make this house payment, or I'm going to be homeless pretty much.
So you got to win, basically.
Well, we didn't get a win, but I can remember us both sitting around the back. We had an open trailer, both sitting around the back of the trailer after we got paid, and I'm counting it, and I'm like,
oh, no.
All right, man.
Good deal.
We made enough money back to
wow.
to make the house payment and head on down the road.
And a lot of people might not realize that, because as you guys' sprint car career started rolling, you guys were very competitive everywhere you went. Between your equipment and Corey's ability to drive, when you guys pulled in, you were a force to be reckoned with.
We were. We were fortunate enough to hook up with Brian Renshaw.
Mm-hmm.
And Brian helped us out, and he actually come up to us one night, handed us an envelope with some money in it, and introduced himself because we crashed that night. And that's when it got big right there. I mean, Brian stepped in. He bought some top-notch World of Outlaw equipment,
mm-hmm.
and that's when Corey's winning started. I mean, that's it. I mean, we went from there.
Since then, you guys have made a change, and I don't know if I want to say that your hand was forced in the change, but you went from sprint cars to late models, and now you're in UMP modifieds, and there were a couple of different things that contributed to that, between track rules changing, track classes that are provided changing, and even some personal things were part of that too.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was some personal things that happened. We had some health issues, and I just kind of felt that it was time to end the sprint car deal. He was getting beat up pretty bad. Every time he got upside down, he was, not feeling good.
Sure.
And I said, let's try a different road here. And we went UMP late model racing, and we were kind of at the point where we really wanted to travel,
mm-hmm.
but we didn't really have anywhere to travel with the sprint car. So that choice made it easy for us, because we couldn't, we didn't want to go, we couldn't go all-star racing.
Right.
It just, that wasn't in our hands. And the late model made it so we could race, a lot of places back then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when Butler made the decision to
drop late models,
I was like, okay.
Now what?
So we hooked up with Haskell Baker and Mike Baker, who, he runs sprint cars out there. And we bought our first UMP modified. And, we can run that thing,
almost anywhere in the tri-state area.
Anywhere, and 3-4 nights a week if we want to.
Was this a change that, Corey, you as a driver were okay with? Or, drivers, I think, have a preference of what they'd like to drive. And so, was this something you were okay with, or did you not really have a choice?
Oh, they left me a choice. It's with having the heart condition that I had in 2007, when they approached me with this deal, I was okay with it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back at it now, I'm still okay with it. To think, I feel, I'm only 42 years old. Could I go back and race a sprint car again? Yeah, I think I could.
Yeah.
And be competitive doing it.
You tried. You tried to get another chance at wheeling a sprint car last year or 2 years ago.
It was 2 years ago.
And the weather just was against us in that.
Right.
And you kind of wanted that closure with the sprint car.
And I've had my closure since 2007.
And for those who don't know, we'll kind of put the puzzle together. You had a very serious health incident in the race car during 2007, and very scary moment for anybody who was there and anybody who remembers it. So the reason there needs to be closure there is because of the seriousness of what happened while you were behind the wheel. It was a very scary deal.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you got that closure. And now you're very competitive in a UMP modified, and I think that's probably what keeps it fun for you, is to be able to go out there and win.
Yeah, and that's what keeps me going, and like just like the kids, I keep telling myself, if it wasn't for the kids, I probably wouldn't do this, and if it wasn't for the fans, I wouldn't be doing this.
Sure.
Looking back on my racing career, I don't feel I have anything to prove anymore.
Sure.
If the chance was given to climb back into a sprint car for a night, absolutely I would.
Sure thing.
Of course you would.
Just, I'm newly married, and my wife hasn't seen me do it,
Well,
and the kids haven't seen me do it.
I was going to say, I doubt Maddie remembers you doing it.
She was there the night it happened. She remembers bits and pieces of my sprint car career, mostly the late model and the modified is where Maddie's been. I couldn't ask for a better support group than what I got right now.
Sure. Talk about Allie, because Corey had to get out of the car again last year. Talk about putting somebody else in a car that's not your brother. You put Josh Lamont in the car last year, and for the most part, he performed very well behind the wheel for you guys.
yeah, that was actually Corey's decision. I put the car up on jack stands, was going to wait it out till we got the okay again. And he come to me, and he had actually been in contact with Jake Roofer out of Indiana, who is a good shoe in Indiana, exciting. And, he come to me and said, hey, I'd like to do this. And, it was Corey's ideal, and I just kind of went with it, to keep the car going. We have some huge sponsors that have been with Corey and I a long time. Bevard Motorsports has been with I and Corey for 18 years this year. So we thought they deserved that. Mm-hmm. A lot of our new sponsors we just picked up last year, a couple new sponsors, Caldwell Bankers, stuff like that. And we thought that they deserved that. They had sponsored us, and we thought that they deserved to have the car there. Mm-hmm. And we since switched from Jake to Josh, and Josh wheeled our car great. Mm-hmm. He's a Sherman guy, and picked up 2 wins in it. Corey picked up 2 wins in it. And that's exciting for me because our cars are competitive.
Well, and I thought it was interesting, too, because Josh was struggling. He was having a tough season up until that halfway point, and it was kind of like jumping in your car kind of hit the reset button for him, because when he was able to get back in his car, he was pretty competitive again. And I think that it helped you guys stay on the track, and it helped him kind of, again, hit the reset button on his season.
Oh, absolutely. And there's not very many people I'll let drive my car. So Josh was excited to drive it. I think the first or second night out, he won in it. That was exciting for us. As tough as it is to see your car out there with somebody else in it, it was very exciting. And, Corey and I we sat down one day and talked about this, and we've had some tremendous drivers with us. Mm-hmm. Ken Mackey's drove for us a season sprint car race, and Jason Blonde's been in our car. Bob Dooley drove one of my sprint cars for on and off for a couple years. Of course, Josh, Jake, John Trudeau won a big feature at I-96 in one of our sprint cars.
I think we even had Kevin Reeves in one of our modifieds.
Yeah, Kevin drove one of our modifieds one night.
Yeah, I did. Yep.
Yep. So we
Only took one night to make him decide not to do that again. No.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a situation there, but we went forward. That's all that matters.
So we've been very fortunate to have some good people, hang out with us.
When Josh won that first feature in your guys' car, it really brought the aspect of family in racing together. Because I was fortunate enough to be there, and when I got down to Victory Lane, there was not a dry eye in that square. Everybody from Josh Lamal's racing team to Bevard Motorsports was so happy to see both Josh in Victory Lane and that car back in Victory Lane.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was a rough summer, but I mean, we've dealt with it. We're good. Corey and I are ready for 2018 to roll on, and man, I'd really like to have a modified championship. I think we've give a couple away, and I'm excited for that.
I've helped Josh win a championship, and
Yep.
he was backing out one night out of his pit area, and his car broke, and I was running second or third in points.
I think we were third or fourth or something. Yeah, something like
And
that.
I seen him climb out of the car, and I climbed out of my car, and I'm like, just get in this thing and win yourself a championship.
There you go.
Josh has always had my back.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool to see that come together because, Josh does the same sort of thing for people who need it.
Yeah.
You guys work off of that golden rule to do unto others as you'd want done to you. And I think it really, what goes around comes around. All those cliche things you can say, but it has happened for you guys. When you need, somebody's there. When somebody else needs, you guys try to be there.
Oh, absolutely.
We run our deal on a shoestring budget. Wasn't for the sponsor that we had, we wouldn't be doing some of the stuff that we do. We built a new motor over the winter, and I run this guy broke every week.
And people, I don't think, respect that or understand that. When people look at the outside and they see, I'm going to pick on you guys, when they see a toter home pull in, they don't think about the fact that it's a 1994 and that you've had to keep up maintenance on it. When they see the new trailer, they don't think about how many sponsors are on the side of the car. And when they see you pull into Victory Lane week in and week out, they don't see what goes in Monday through Friday.
No, they don't. And, our families support us huge, It's, like I said, started in the backyard of my parents' yard. But, we don't take big fancy vacations. We don't, unfortunately, get to go to a lot of summer activities, just like you guys, And our families support us, and it's huge. And, we work hard at this. We truly do. Spend every dime, that we possibly can to make this deal go. And, our stuff looks decent, but there's nights that it's used up.
Yeah.
And we make it work.
Sure.
And I got a huge support group in the shop. Chad Fettleplace has been with Corey and I since the beginning. He helped Corey build his first street stock in the backyard.
28, 30 years ago.
I wouldn't have said that if I was you, Corey.
Bubba's been with Corey and I. He's true.
He's a
our race
staple.
team.
He's a staple in your team. Everybody knows him.
He went from being up there at the top of Butler, lining people up, and he's come to us one day and said, I want to do something different. So he does. We've acquired Chris Riley, who he picks. He works on these kids' cars. He works on our car.
I want to touch on that because Chris is one of those guys who is a totally approachable guy, and the relationship that he has with the kids in your team is amazing. Your stepdaughter Morgan,
She loves you.
the relation or daughter-in-law, stepdaughter. Which would it be? Stepdaughter. Morgan, the relationship he has with her, and the relationship he has with Maddie and Mason. He's just a great team player for you guys.
Yes, and he, I can say, hey, Sean's over in the shop. Chris packs up the stuff. He heads to the shop, to help Sean. And, so he does a lot for us. The truck never pulls out of the driveway without them 3 guys in it,
Absolutely.
And so it's fun. It's been fun for us. I mean, really.
And then if it does pull out of the driveway, it's a good thing for cell phones because I'm constantly on the phone with Chad or if there's been a couple times I went racing without Allie, and that's
Nerve-wracking.
It's
got to be.
And I always whisper, man, I don't know if I can do this without you guys here, and they're just always constantly beating it in me, coaching me, through the night or whatever, and it's like Chris. There's not too many people like Chris. They would push a kid around a racetrack in a wheelchair.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's one of a kind.
Anything he can do to help and to better
absolutely.
the people that are around. Chris is a great guy. Logan?
I've got a couple questions, one for Allie, one for Corey. Allie, I've heard through the rumor mill that an LS engine might be coming down the pike. And
I wish eventually we're going to have a video camera to record that right there.
Well, that was priceless. What that was.
Basically, the LS engine is top dog in the drag strip, and I can't figure out why anybody's not doing it in circle track. My uncle's been racing the new Z06, and he's been trying for like 8 years to get me to go to the LS engine. So I'm going to be watching you big time to see what this LS engine does.
If it's confirmed that you're getting one.
That's correct.
It is confirmed there is one being built.
Who's building it?
Geez, Logan.
Dale Richard did the machine work, and Brandon Janes out of Hillsdale is a big LS drag guy. And
Doesn't he run turbos, though?
yeah, he runs turbos.
No turbo, right?
No turbos.
I happen to know the tech inspector at Butler, so we'll be looking for that.
And we've been wanting to do this for a couple years. And just this winter, Corey and I sat down and we decided to, we hooked up with Brandon, and he give us the stuff to do it. And he's assembling, and it's going to take a lot of work because nothing fits.
Right.
Custom building headers. We don't even know exactly how it's going to fit in there yet. So
I think the LS engine too. A lot of guys that were running Eldora kind of started that. Started seeing what they had. Plopping them in, and I remember when we were down at Eldora, there were a few modifieds that had them in there already.
yeah,
So
the guys out west are running a few of them, but I can't even tell you what to expect yet.
it's going to be kind of a learning curve for you
It
guys,
is a
isn't it?
huge-
Because it's not your typical small block 350 anymore.
No, and we know absolutely nothing about it.
Mm-hmm.
So
My uncle was telling me the stock cranks are good for 1,000 horsepower.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are twisting them, a ton, and they're running 1,200 horsepower through those with the turbos. The only thing they're doing is tearing them down and changing the rod bolts. I mean, we didn't do that. We took ours a little bit further and put a new crank and rods and pistons and had the heads done, and we're doing it right because we don't
know what it's going to bring.
we don't want it to break, I guess.
I'm excited to watch that.
That leads me to Logan's statement from last week. If the stock, the cam or crank, what did you say, had 1,000 horsepower for it?
Crank.
Are you going to be able to flip your switch and be able to use all of
I
that?
listened to that. When I heard that, I blame that on my years of racing a sprint car with an 800 horse motor and an 18-inch wide tire and being able to to run it like that. And it's been a learning curve. I don't have the.
Takes us to about June and July.
And then you remember. Here's what I think of every time they drop the green flag for Corey Bevard. Have you guys seen Days of Thunder?
Okay.
I'm dropping the hammer. No, you're not.
I spend a lot of time in the car, when I'm not sleeping in the car, waiting to go out, thinking of, how can I, slow myself down,
Sure.
And get faster.
That's a question I have for you, Corey. That was actually my question to you. We've all driven with people that couldn't drive a nail, let alone a race car. I mean, they'll take you out from behind. You didn't even see them coming. And I'm trying to get the mindset of the good drivers, and I'm starting to feel like I think most drivers, when I strap into a car, I get so relaxed. When I'm out there, I'm probably more relaxed than if I'm driving on the highway. Do you find yourself relaxed, or do you get does your adrenaline really start going, or what's your mindset when you're out there?
Years ago I would have the adrenaline, and I'd be anxious and worked up and ready to go. Now to me it's just another day like sitting in my office at work.
It's like a chess game.
Yes, exactly.
80 miles an hour.
Yes. I've had to reteach myself to be patient. I've really gotten rid of the attitude that I've had in prior years. If something happened, I'd want to fight at the drop of a hat. I don't know what happened to me. Maybe it's the new marriage.
Sure.
I mean, I got a pretty good wife that keeps me intact.
She put you on a short leash.
Yeah.
How about Kevin? When you strap in, what do you do?
It's a overwhelming calmness comes in. Used to be nerve wracking, and as you grow, you get a little older. Now it's just kind of like do what you got to do, come back in and make changes, and go back out and do it again.
It's fun for me to watch their routines, right? His routine before he goes out, Sean's routine before he goes out, Mason's routine before he goes out. I'm looking forward to seeing what Maddie's routine is before she goes out. You know, I mean, the go-kart deal was a little different.
Helmet and you plop in and go.
Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty much all you had
so
to
they
do.
go through this routine. I see them go through this routine, and I'm looking forward to seeing that routine out of her, to see exactly what they do to get ready,
Me, on the other hand, I'm not looking so forward to that.
Corey is going to be a nervous wreck.
Maddie and I butt heads a lot, as far as, I try to teach her, enter here, roll back to the throttle here, brake here, Maddie, you don't need to lift here, kind of a deal. And we butt heads, so I just turn around, walk away, and I said, tell Chris or Allie, you guys deal with her, It's,
When you look at your daughter, do you see somebody who has natural talent, or do you feel like you are trying to coach her a lot?
I see my daughter as having natural talent. And for me, I worked at it. It took me several years to pick up the, in the sprint cars, when to pick up the throttle, when to move the wing, to tell these guys when to tighten the car. For her, it's like, okay, I'm a little loose on entry. I'm going to pick up my throttle here. Stuff like that. And
She already knows it.
she knows it. And
all these kids do. It's crazy.
I was going to say earlier, that Mason and Sean and Madison, they're like sponges. Obviously some of Sean's posts on Facebook that he wasn't the smartest kid in school.
Sure.
But the kid is a sponge when it comes to racing. And Allie and I have been fortunate with Madison and Mason that they're sponges in school and on the racetrack. So.
And Logan, to his point about Sean, you had the chance to work with him a little bit this week, Sean Patrick, and helped him learn his car a little bit better too.
Oh, correct. Yep, we've been working on the front end a little bit. He's also working with Lightning, and basically Lightning told Sean where he wanted stuff, and I just went ahead and welded it on. But, yep.
There you go.
Yep, he's a very smart kid.
Let's close out our segment with you guys as far as Bevard Motorsports history and talk about the future a little bit more in depth. 2018, one brand new rookie driver, one sophomore driver, right, for the big track, and then you still got Corey behind the wheel and Sean. You guys are going to be very busy, but what's 2018 look like for you guys? What's the goals and what are you hoping to do?
2018.
Or 2018, yeah, 18. This year, yep.
We're excited just to get going. I think that a modified championship is definitely within Corey's reach. He's faster than ever right now. The car is capable. We got good stuff. Sean, I'd like to see him just pick up that first win.
Yeah, that first feature win.
Or pick up a few heat race wins. He picked up his first heat race win last year, but he needs that confidence in a couple wins because he works hard.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any kid that works that hard.
He's one of those guys where you see him posting on Facebook at 5 a.m. As soon as he gets off of work.
Yeah.
As soon as he gets off of work, he's in the garage.
Yeah, he's always can't sleep. I'm out in the garage. I'm like, dude, you got me beat there, man. Like, that's
so for him to pick up some heat race wins, snake him out a feature win would be huge.
Sure.
And exciting for us.
And he's been close.
He's close.
I remember one race I called from the infield, and it was like he was clicking them off, and he just ran out of time, basically.
Yeah. Mason, another year in the street stock. We did some upgrades on that. And last year we kind of bought that car and just threw it on jack stands and put a motor in it. And we didn't do anything to it. This year we did a few things to it to make the car a little better, I think. And he picked up a heat race win last year here at Butler. He picked up a heat race win at Galesburg on the pavement, messing around a little bit. And so a few more heat race wins would be great. Love to see the kids get him a feature win. I think he can.
Sure.
For sure. But for them two, top 5 finishes in the heat and points would be huge.
Maddie's already set her bar high. Just
always does.
just from knowing her the little bit that I do, and then the fact that she came out last year in the Powder Puff and won at Butler, I know that she is going to want to prove that that was not a spoof.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to watch her. I think Corey and I, we're going to have to work at that deal.
Corey's going to have to. I can already tell that Corey is going to have to work even more at controlling himself. He's done great for a start, but I know the minute that Maddie gets into any sort of trouble on the track, it's going to be tough for you.
Yeah, it will be. I mean, that's my kid. Or kind of like Sonny and Cher. I got you, babe. Kind of.
Sure. Yeah, I was on the wrong end of a cart incident one time that involved Maddie and Corey, and I don't want to deal with that again. So.
Yeah, Maddie's. I think the whole reason we kind of made this whole deal was because it was getting tough on all of us to wake up at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning on Sunday after race. Get home at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and getting go-kart stuff around to take her to racing. And I think that we're heading in the right direction. I sometimes wonder if I'm going to be hurting her driving style by putting her in a front-wheel drive. But maybe towards the end of the year, when it talks about us getting a new car, and if so, maybe we'll put Maddie in a big car, in a rear-wheel drive car, and let her turn some laps and go from there and see what next year brings.
I think we got her a safe front-wheel drive car, a nice front-wheel drive car.
Sure.
I think Corey and I are going to have to, and Chad are going to have to do some stuff to it to make it a front-running car. But right now, I think it's seat time.
Yeah.
I think that getting her out there with the grown-ups, let's say,
It's a big car on a big track.
Yeah.
And you got to get used to it. I think that's going to be important for her, and I think she's going to do well. I think Mason's going to do well this year, and I like you said, I really hope Sean picks up some speed. I know you're going to do fine. So
I got one goal, and that's just to stay healthy, and race. I normally race, between 30 to 45 shows a year, and I want to race between 30 and 40, 50
absolutely
shows a year, this year, and be healthy the whole year. I mean, I feel good. I'm ready to get started.
Other than the gray, you look good.
Yeah, well,
so
It's coming in quite good, actually. real good.
So, all right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. Real quick, got to thank Cornfed Construction again for coming on board as an official sponsor of Horsepower Happenings with Motorsports Broadcasting of Michigan. The exciting news is, well, I'll let myself tell you about the exciting news. Motorsports Broadcasting of Michigan proudly brings you this production of Horsepower Happenings. You and your business could be a part of this groundbreaking team, and your ad could be here. Heard by hundreds of racing fans from across the state, region, and country, Motorsports Broadcasting of Michigan is the perfect marketing partner for your business. Contact us today for more information at 517-212-5925 or by email at mbofmi@gmail.com. Lower Broadway record recording artist Russ Kendrick Martin is coming to a town near you.
Ain't ever looking back.
Don't miss these shows March 23rd at Here's to You Pub and Grub in Hillsdale,
Picked up the phone to call you.
Missy's Little Grass Shack on March 24th in Grass Lake,
Well, I like to shoot my guns, hear the bullets bang. Got to pick my guitar, make that mother twang.
and he finishes the month of March at Portage Lake Parlor in the Waterloo State Recreation Area. Visit RussKendrickMartin.com and check out the Stream tab for the latest RKM music. Be sure to follow him on Facebook and Instagram at Russ Kendrick Martin. We We here at Horsepower Happenings support those who support us, so we'd like to invite you to a benefit to support former short track racer Lewis Richards. Lewis was recently diagnosed with cancer and needs our help fighting back. Join them on Saturday, March 24th from 4 to 7 p.m. at Pittsford Area Schools, 9304 Hamilton Street. There will be a spaghetti dinner, silent auction, raffle tickets, and more. If you'd like to help support a great family and a great racing friend, join them Saturday, March 24th from 4 to 7 p.m. in Pittsford. For more information, call 517-610-3692. Don't miss the first live race broadcast of the season with Motorsports Broadcasting of Michigan. On Saturday, April 7th, MBM makes the trip to the historic Montville Speedway to watch the four-cylinder fighters duke it out in Michigan Motorsports season opener. Tune in at 4:45 p.m. for pre-race with flag-to-flag coverage beginning at 5 p.m. only on Motorsports Broadcasting of Michigan. Welcome back to Horsepower Happenings, and again, we don't have the commercial put together yet because it just happened, but thanks to Cornfed Construction for coming on board with Horsepower Happenings, and I again, don't have any information on him. Just look him up, Matt Carlisle, Cornfed Construction, and again, just look him up, be a part of it. They're a part of this, so support those who support racing. That's what we're after here. Logan Beckwith, Kevin Reeve, Allie Bevard, Corey Bevard. Let's talk about the youth movement in racing. And what I mean by that is we are seeing an influx of younger drivers coming into the sport. On the surface, good thing or a bad thing? Kevin, we'll start with you.
I think it's kind of catch-20 on that deal. I mean, there's some young kids coming up that got the talent and they're willing to learn. Then you have some younger kids that are also that don't have the talent, but they got the backing. Mm-hmm. So they tear your stuff up more, and then you got issues, and you can't talk to them, right? Because dad's in the way or somebody's in the way. So you can't explain to them. Say, hey, we all work on these things, all the time. Let's not tear stuff up over something stupid that costs a lot of money to maintain. Let's not do stupid mistakes and tear up people's equipments and have a chance to get people hurt.
Logan.
Like Kevin said, I think it's a catch-22. It can work both ways. I know a young man that was trying to run a Outlaw at Springport. His dad bought him an Outlaw, very nice car. He worked his way up through the ranks, but he had so many concussions that the doctor actually told him no more racing. So you got to be careful with that too. And I think he just turned 15, so that was kind of heartbreaking. Wow. But then you got a guy like running NASCAR, that William Bryan, who's only been racing 5 years. 5 years. He started when he was like 15. Wow. And he's running NASCAR now. Yeah. So there's both ends of the spectrum there.
And is that, you look at somebody like William Byron, is the name, is William Byron. Is that somebody who has raw talent, or is that somebody who has change, who has money?
I actually sat down and tried to figure that out myself, and I think it's got to be a little bit of both. He's got to have a lot of backing because he did good in every single series he was in. And you got to have enough talent to keep the car out of problems, out of wrecks, and make it there at the end.
It's such a fine line that you have to be able to walk to be able to have raw talent, but to be able to be put in equipment that you can perform in. Now, the reason that I wanted to talk about this subject is because there have been a lot of situations where the younger drivers in the beginning classes, front-wheel drives, street stocks, really get under the skin of the veteran drivers for one of two reasons. Either because they're good or because they're not. And it's caused some issues, especially here at Butler in the front-wheel drive class. And, is that something that we want? You got to have younger people to keep the sport going. But, Allie, where do you draw the line as far as having a kid take you out and wreck your stuff? How do you make that a teachable moment, and is it something you want to deal with?
Well, I'm not sure how to deal with that, I guess. We got to have them coming up, right? They're the future of this sport, that they're going to carry it on, and we're going to be out in the parking lot at Old Timers Night talking about it. Mm-hmm. But, it comes down to respect, I guess, for me, and the situation that had happened. Sure. I don't know. I really don't have a good answer for that because we need them. They're what's going to make this sport keep going. It just depends on how they got there with me, I guess.
I was a young racer. A lot of you, I think everybody here knows my career story. And I think that was one of the biggest things for me was, and that my dad drove home. My dad paid for everything. He made sure I had a car. And we were good when we were racing. And if I didn't respect his equipment, I was done.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think that you point at Corey because it stays true throughout your whole career. If you don't respect somebody's equipment, you're going to lose your ride.
Yeah, I can't spend every dime I have not taking my family on vacations, to have the stuff torn up every single week just because, we're rambunctious or a grudge towards somebody, so, we got to take care of the car every week and, be smart about how we're doing it.
Kevin, your dad was your car owner, and, same kind of story. He made sure you had a good ride, made sure you had a competitive car. But like Corey said, you drive it, win races, but don't tear up my stuff.
Yeah, that was the deal. And also the other deal was this too. If you're running in the back, you tear up my equipment, I'm gonna knock you out. Mm-hmm. And he always joked about him. He goes, "You go forward, I'll fix any panel." And that was all true for a while until I took the whole nose off, both doors, the quarter panels off. And he said, "Okay, all right, if you can just not take off the one door, appreciate it." And we joked around about it a lot, but he always told me if you mess up, you make mistakes, you go down there and talk to these people and you own up to it. You just be a man, walk down. You're in a man sport.
Yeah.
You're not really a man. It's an adult sport.
Sure.
So if you make a mistake, go down there and tell the guy you made a mistake.
Logan, as somebody who's raced for somebody for quite some time, you've raced for Charlie for a number of years. You want to win races. You want to do the best you can. For those youngsters who might be listening, how do you balance, I want to win races, but it's not mine. I don't have to fix it. I don't have to pay for it.
Well, basically, you got to bring it home pretty much in one piece, or you're not going to be driving for somebody. You got to respect their equipment and other racers' equipment. You start tearing up other racers' equipment, and they're going to have a vendetta against you down the road. And,
absolutely.
And they're going to come back after you.
How do we, as a group of veteran drivers and people in this sport, get that through to the younger generation that you have to respect the sport you're in, you have to respect the drivers around you? Do you come right out and say, look, this sport's going to kill you? If you keep driving like an idiot, you're going to get hurt?
No. What I've done in the late model division is when the guys come up from modifieds or street stocks or whatever, the late models. If you're a young kid, they make a mistake, and you see it, or they do it to you, I go down and talk to them. Say, hey, that's not, this is what you did wrong. Let's do this. If they do good, and they're doing great, go down there and compliment them. Say, hey, keep doing what you're doing. You're going faster. You're being respectful. Just keep doing what you're doing and you'll be fine.
I don't think there's a single person here that would actually get mad or feel ill will to a rookie that does good.
Sure.
It's more the ones that tear up your equipment that and don't pay the dues. A perfect example, I think, is Sean Patrick. The kid is awesome. He's out there protecting his equipment. He's out there running hard. Allie knows that. He's a really good kid. That's a perfect example of a rookie. He's paying his dues.
And if he makes a mistake, he'll tell you.
Oh, yes.
I screwed up.
Oh, yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I've seen guys be so angry, and you walk up to him and say, I made a mistake, and then just instantly just kind of calm down. Mm-hmm. Okay, it is what it is.
One of our first weekends at Montville, my dad did something similar to that. He drove right into the side of a guy who has raced there for years and years and years and years. And my dad walked over and said, sorry, I made a mistake. And now that other guy, Eric Root's one of our best friends,
Yeah.
And he said, I was going to be mad at you guys till the end of forever. But if you step up to the plate and say, I made a bonehead move, I'm sorry. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be okay.
Yes.
Yeah, as long as you just don't keep doing it.
Right.
You keep doing it, you can only apologize so much. But if you do it once and you don't do it again, or you learn from it, what more do you want to ask out of it,
I want to ask you guys an interesting question. Something we kind of talked about off the air just a little bit, Logan touched on. When you're getting your rear end handed to you by a group of young kids or even, one young kid, is it something you can take, or is that irritating to know that you're kind of the veteran in the sport and you're getting whooped on by 12, 13, 14, 15, 16-year-olds?
Honestly, I don't really care because
Is a competitor a competitor?
competitor's a competitor. Now, to me, if I'm getting smoked by a 17-year-old kid, that's just making me look dumb. I'm gonna go back home and see what's going on because I'm gonna figure out why I'm getting spanked by a 17-year-old kid.
Sure.
You know, and so realistically, they're gonna drive the older guys. The way I look at it, you know, and if we start beating them, hopefully we drive them. You know, is what you all want to break down to.
Do we do enough, Allie, to help the younger kids? Do you think in the sport? I mean, do we owe them anything, or do they just need to work their way through it like we all had to?
I mean, I don't think we owe them anything. My kids work hard, you know. All of them work hard in the shop. They haven't had anything handed to them.
Sure.
You know, and you can ask any one of them that, you know, the plug can be pulled at any time. You know, if you're not going to put in the time and the effort and focus on this, and my number one thing is we're going to have fun. Mm-hmm. Because I tell my kids, if we're not having fun, I don't want to be here anymore. You know, that's what I pound through to them. You know, if you ask them and I send them a text message, what are we going to do tonight? Number one thing, we're going to have fun. You know, and, you know, I just think that these kids that are tearing stuff up, if they spent some time in the shop fixing it, may be a different story.
Yeah.
Good point.
You know?
Agreed.
Good point.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
You can almost tell the kids and the drivers who are putting in the time and who are out there with dad or mom or whoever it is that's floating the bill. You can tell the ones that are out there turning wrenches and busting knuckles because they seem to just respect their equipment more. If you know that come Sunday morning you're going to have to tear the front clip off on your own and put it back together, you're probably not going to dive bomb going into one and wipe out half the field.
no.
Agreed. Yeah.
Youth movement in NASCAR. Want to touch on it just a little bit because I think it's interesting. Oldest driver in NASCAR right now is Jimmy Johnson at 44.
Yeah. Unreal.
Yeah, that's odd.
I look back at in 2010, I think, was his last season. Mark Martin was driving NASCARs at like 51 or something. Well, in your opinion, why are we seeing this massive drop-off? I mean, we had Dale Earnhardt retire. We had Carl Edwards quit driving all of a sudden. Matt Kenseth lost his ride. Couldn't get it. He wanted to drive in NASCAR. Matt Kenseth wanted a ride. Couldn't find one. Why are we seeing the drop-off? Why is the average age coming down in NASCAR? Are people bored with their regular drivers? That doesn't make sense to me.
I think it's like this. I mean, it's like any job. You get to a point where you've had enough. And I think a lot of it is like Jimmy Johnson. He's getting up there. And I mean, I see him retire in a couple years. Yeah. Like Earnhardt Jr.
And he's not competing this year. Jimmy Johnson has not had a good year.
Yes, exactly. So these guys, I think, just get to a point where they still want to do it, but it's just a job. Mm-hmm. And it's not something you're passionate about. I think that's why I see Carl Edwards leave. I really do. There's something more to that story, but I think a lot of it was that. Earnhardt Jr., I mean, he's had some injuries and stuff, and he's got married. He's got a kid now. Mm-hmm. I think he really wanted to just do that.
I think the Carl Edwards thing, and I think this might be part of the reason that the older guys are getting out. NASCAR is the safest it's ever been, hands down. Safest it's ever been in its history. But the last race of Carl Edwards' career, he got taken out down the front stretch of Homestead and almost flipped in turn one because he got hit so hard from behind. And after that race, it was a couple weeks later, he said he was done. I think these guys are trying to really look at their health.
Well, reevaluating stuff. I mean, why race until you're 60-something years old if you don't need to? Mm-hmm. If you want to be around for your kids or you want to have kids or something like that, I mean, you're seeing the older generation, you know, like my generation have kids later on.
Sure.
Well, I mean, they want to watch their kids grow up. If that's happening at Homestead and you walk away, well, that's kind of like, okay.
Time to hang it up.
Maybe it's time to reevaluate my career choice and get out of it, do something different. Or a lot of these guys are going into broadcasting or going into car ownership.
Logan, what do you think?
I think it comes down to a pressure deal. They're just under the gun so much and more pressure all the time, and it basically quits being fun. I think once it quits being fun, they start looking back and say, do I really want to do this?
I think that's a good point that, you know, Dale Earnhardt Jr. was one of the ones to say, I got to spend time with my wife and I got to be able to be there for my kid. We're going to take another quick break. When we come back, We're going to talk about the NASCAR Hall of Fame Class of 2019 nominees. And while we're on break, I want you to think about, the listeners, who you would put in. Here's the list of people. We've got Davey Allison, Bobby Labonte, Buddy Baker, Herschel McGriff, Red Farmer, Ralph Moody, Ray Fox, Roger Penske, Harry Gant, Larry Phillips, Joe Gibbs, Jack Roush, Jeff Gordon, Ricky Rudd, John Holman, Kirk, what is that, Shelmerdine? Yeah, okay. Harry Hyde, Mike Stefanik, Alan Kowicki, and Waddle Wilson. How do you put? Oh yeah, and by the way, you can only put 5 of them in. So think about that while we're on break. When we come back, we'll all kind of take a little bit of a look at this and see who we would put into the NASCAR Hall of Fame in 2019. Stay tuned. Motorsports Broadcasting of Michigan proudly brings you this production of Horsepower Happenings. You and your business could be a part of this groundbreaking team, and your ad could be here. Heard by hundreds of racing fans from across the state, region, and country, Motorsports Broadcasting of Michigan is the perfect marketing partner for your business. Contact us today for more information at 517-212-5925 or by email at mbofmi@gmail.com. We here at Horsepower Happenings support those who support us, so we'd like to invite you to a benefit to support former short track racer Lewis Richards. Lewis was recently diagnosed with cancer and needs our help fighting back. Join them on Saturday, March 24th from 4 to 7 p.m. at Pittsford Area Schools, 9304 Hamilton Street. There will be a spaghetti dinner, silent auction, raffle tickets, and more. If you'd like to help support a great family and a great racing friend, join them Saturday, March 24th from 4 to 7 p.m. in Pittsford. For more information, call 517-610-3692. Lower Broadway record recording artist Russ Kendrick Martin is coming to a town near you.
Ain't ever looking back.
Don't miss these shows March 23rd at Here's to You Pub and Grub in Hillsdale.
Picked up the phone to call you.
Missy's Little Grass Shack on March 24th in Grass Lake.
Well, I like to shoot my guns, hear the bullets bang. Got to pick my guitar, make that mother twang.
And he finishes the month of March at Portage Lake Parlor in the Waterloo State Recreation Area. Visit RussKendrickMartin.com and check out the Stream tab for the latest RKM music. Be sure to follow him on Facebook and Instagram at Russ Kendrick Martin. Special thanks to Cornfed Construction for coming on board with the Horsepower Happenings crew. Get a hold of them for any of your building needs. They can build you a house from scratch or do some basic repairs. Just get a hold of them. Cornfed Construction, proud partner of Horsepower Happenings. Don't miss the first live race broadcast of the season with Motorsports Broadcasting of Michigan. On Saturday, April 7th, MBM makes the trip to the historic Montville Speedway to watch the four-cylinder fighters duke it out in Michigan Motorsports season opener. Tune in at 4:45 p.m. for pre-race with flag-to-flag coverage beginning at 5 p.m. only on Motorsports Broadcasting of Michigan. Welcome back to Horsepower Happenings. Zach Heiser, Logan Beckwith, Kevin Reeve, Allie Bevard, and Corey Bevard all in the studio tonight. Awesome. And here's what we're looking at. We are looking at NASCAR Hall of Fame nominees for 2019. A whole host of them. Really good nominee class. If you take a look at it, we will include the list on our Facebook page and on our YouTube video for you to look at and consider. Here's who I've got coming in. I've got Davey Allison, Jeff Gordon, Alan Kowicki, Roger Penske, and Jack Roush. And a little bit of an explanation as to why. Jack Roush, Roger Penske, without them, we don't have NASCAR teams. Without them, we need car owners to float the bill. We need Allie Bevards to put us in equipment and give us a ride and give us something to race. Alan Kowicki kind of was one of the first ones to come in and not be cowboy boots and cowboy hat and win races. So he kind of was a trendsetter and changer for NASCAR. Davey Allison, again, without that guy, we don't have NASCAR. We don't have the NASCAR we know today. And then Jeff Gordon, just because, how do you deny that he's a wheelman and made history? So that's who I've got. What do you got, Logan?
I think we all should put $5 in the pot, and whoever gets the most right wins.
I would hate to have to only put 5 of these people in here because this is an excellent list.
I'm going to go with Davey Allison, Jeff Gordon, Harry Gant, Joe Gibbs, and Jack Roush.
Hey, we got what, 2 of those?
Yes.
We share, so there you go.
Davey Allison was one of my favorites. I've got a lot of his collectibles along with Dale Earnhardt. Jeff Gordon, because he's got the 3rd most wins in NASCAR. Harry Gant, he's just old school hardcore racer.
Sure.
Joe Gibbs, he's got 4 championships, and he's just an all-around good guy on and off the track. And then Jack Roush, he's just, like you said, without him, there's not really any racing. He's won like 325 races with all his drivers and two NASCAR championships.
That's not bad. Okay, Logan and I did some research, Kevin, and actually supported our answers. What do you got?
I'm going to just shoot from the hip here.
Oh, okay.
Well, I do agree with Gibbs and Penske. I mean, without them 2 guys, you don't have... They've done a lot for the sport. I mean, Penske's done a lot of stuff for racing in general. Gibbs has done a lot. He's starting to branch out to other types of Formula Motorsports. But realistically, these 2 guys have done a ton for NASCAR. I do like Red Farmer. I mean, he's an old school boy. He's from North Carolina.
Sure.
The dude has been racing forever.
Mm-hmm.
Still races. Still gets the straps in a race car. I think he's in his 80s.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got to do nothing but respect that guy. You know, and that's
Can you imagine racing until you're 80?
I can. My wife would hate it, but I'm sure I'd love to do it. I just don't know if I can get out of the car, but...
I hope I can still hear when I make it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we got Harry Gant. And what I like about Harry Gant is he's one of them guys that you never heard anything bad about.
Sure.
He always raced. He always was good on the... You know, people talked to him. He always seemed like he was respected.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great guy. And then my last guy is Quickie. You know, he's one of them guys that... You know, he was the first guy to do the Polish Victory Lap.
Yep.
He instituted that.
Mm-hmm.
And he was one of the first guys to do it all by himself, you know, really went out there and was successful doing it his way.
Sure.
You know, and I think those 5 guys are the guys that should be in there.
Allie, who do you got?
My list really when I look at it, you know, consists of rough and tough
Sure.
racers, I think. You know, Buddy Baker, Harry Gant, Ricky Rudd, Harry Hyde. You know, I consider them kind of rough and tough, you know, from the beginning kind of deal. And my 5th one was Alan Kwiecki because, to me, what I remember is, you know, that's when NASCAR kind of started making that turn, you know, to what it is today. You know, but my picks, you know, are pretty much
Old school.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
All right, Corey, what do you got?
Well, if I would have known I was going to have to be quizzed on this, I probably would have did some more research. I have Davey Allison. I just remember him from a kid, and exciting to watch. Harry Gant, same way. You know, like Allie says, rough and tough. You never hear about him doing anything bad. Jeff Gordon, you know, like Logan was saying about him. Harry Hyde, just because I remember the movie. And same deal with Bobby Labonte. I mean, the guy's, you know, you never hear anything bad about the guy, and he's a real a true racer.
He's a champion of the sport too, so you can't knock that either. Okay, we've reached the end of our program. Just like that, we are to the end, and this is where I get to ask Logan and Kevin what they've got going on in their racing world. Logan, we will start with you. What's this week got for you?
We're going to be working on the asphalt car a little bit, trying to get that ready for a big race at Springport. Also this year I'd like to go up to Kalamazoo and race with one of my buddies up there that's just kicking everybody's butt. Buddy Head, I would like to race against him and see if I can keep up with him at Kalamazoo.
Sure. Kevin, what do you got going?
Well, we went back out to the shop this week and got parts last week. Got the fire bottle we all had to run.
Oh boy.
So we're mounting that in the car. And I did try a neck restraint on.
Did you get up to the safety summit?
Sweet.
Didn't go to the safety summit. I went during the week and so we're getting that figured out. A lot more complicated than what I expected.
Cool.
Had a lot of insight from fire people to officials saying what you're supposed to do. So it's kind of people are telling you don't do this, don't do that. So
Motorsports Broadcasting Michigan is going to the Michigan Speedway Promoters Association meeting on Thursday. Looking to make some great contacts there. So follow us on SoundCloud, Facebook, and YouTube, and never miss a moment of what's happening in Horsepower Happenings. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Give us a like, share, and follow.
been listening to Horsepower Happenings with Zach Heiser, Logan Beckwith, and Kevin Reed. Tune in next Tuesday at 7 p.m. to keep up on what's happening.